It's ethics. The man told Mike Pence not to certify the election. The man called the state of Secretary of State, or was it governor? I forget, and asked for 11,072 votes. The man has stolen from more hardworking Americans.
You were against Trump in 2016, though. You were against Trump in 2016.
Right, but he was unethical then, and he's still unethical.
And in 20, right.
That's right, but that's the whole point.
Mark Cuban is going to grill Donald Trump's personal butt kisser, Vivek Ramaswamy, on his own show.
I actually started off supporting Donald, and then I got to know him better.
When did you support him?
Like 2015, I was like, he's great. He's he's not a typical Stepford candidate. I thought that was a positive.
I would think that's a positive, right? A business guy who's pretty practical.
But then I got to know
not
him.
Ideological.
A big part of that is I didn't think he had a chance, and so I just wanted to kind of screw things up in traditional politics that I'm not a fan of.
Okay,
but the bigger
supportive. Okay, that's kind of funny.
Right. But the bigger point is Trump University, Trump Soho, stole $4 million from a friend of mine that had sued to get it back. Mike Pence, 40 out of 44 people.
Just take a look at the 4 years.
And Vivek, a man who knows where his bread is buttered, tries putting an end to Cuban's preaching.
Because each of these are just going to be separate sort of personal attack rabbit holes. Look at the country in those 4
they're
years.
not personal attack rabbit holes. They're legitimate things that actually happen.
So do you think the country, do you think the economy prospered and border crossing issues were far better under Donald Trump under those 4 years than they've been in the last 4 years? You disagree on that premise too.
No, because if you look at border crossing, what was Obama's nickname? The deporter in chief. Mm-hmm. If you look at actual crossings, they were lower under Obama. And when Obama came in, they were higher, and he continued to lower them until the last couple months. On the economy, Obama took a up economy and improved it, and Trump inherited that, right? And actually, inflation grew by 25% under Trump over Obama.
Ramaswamy is trying desperately, but clearly just isn't up to the task here.
But again, that's not the core issue. You want to talk about
lives. That is a core issue. Crime and economy.
I get that. But you know what? The one certainty about the office of the President of the United States is the complete uncertainty, that you have no idea what comes next. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. And so in my mind, and I think a lot of people's minds that oppose Donald Trump, is that you want somebody there that is educated on the world, but more importantly, just is ethical, right? So that they make ethical decisions. You want somebody when there is no precedent, it's never happened before. You want somebody that has hired not people who are most loyal, like Tony Soprano might have done, but hired the very best people. And those people want to stay and work for them, not that they're loyal. You want somebody whose first inclination is not to do what's in their own best personal interest.
So
right?
Can I just say,
you can't deny that's Donald Trump.
Unreal. And Vivek would try to change the subject yet again.
It's just like a CEO of a company. Would you hire somebody that has a long history of stealing from people, of being unethical?
I'll tell you,
would not, and you know it.
Is Donald Trump a perfect person? No, he is not. Am I a
No,
perfect
we're not
person?
talking about
I'm not.
minimal
Are you a
imperfection.
perfect person?
No,
You're not.
no.
But we have to
we're
ask
not talking
ourselves,
about
who's the actual best
have
president?
you ever stolen money?
We have right now. I've never stolen money from anybody. No.
Either have I. Right? Have you ever had a company?
I have no evidence to say that Donald Trump has either.
Oh, I do for sure. Ask Barbara Corcoran, right? She had to sue to get her money back. Ask anybody from Trump University. Ask people who bought condos in Trump Soho. Ask people from, Trump Foundation that gave money there. Ask people who are giving money today, and he's using that money for his legal fees. So, this isn't like a little discretion. This is a habit.
Mark,
I think why I can't support him.
Yeah. So look, I think that's less about politics and more about maybe like a criticism of one man. But that's the whole point. So look,
you were talking about ethics. You would not. Have you ever told any of your employees to short pay a vendor just to try to save some money? No. Either have I. Right? What do you think about somebody who does that?
At the end of the day, this was a severe schooling from the former Dallas Mavericks owner with a newfound Trump supporter in Ramaswamy. Here is the brutal, honest truth about this. Vivek Ramaswamy, I believe, is a narcissist, who is bored. He made a ton of money, which we have gone over previously, came under pretty suspicious circumstances. He got paid, his family got paid. He has been a libertarian for a long time. Pablo Torre on his show was a classmate of Vivek Ramaswamy's. If you haven't seen it, check out our video on demand or go to the Pablo Torre Finds Out YouTube page, and you will understand how this man is who he is. All from the, rapping Eminem and being a libertarian rapper in college, to when he would have a question, according to Torre, he would throw up a V instead of raising his hand. Cringe. And then 2023 comes around, and we start hearing this guy more and more, Vivek Ramaswamy. And he is, to the Republican Party, brilliant, because he represents something that they largely do not have, which is a champion of diversity who will go against affirmative action and play up, even in this video with Mark Cuban, DEI and many other things, which is what they love. And so he made a name for himself by really going up the Republican pipeline because he could fund his own campaign when he announced he was running for president, when really all it was, when he was up on that stage along with, Burgum and all these other schmoes who had no chance, DeSantis and others, Haley, was because for Ramaswamy, it was a tryout. That debate when he went up there was a tryout, because you know who's watching that debate? Donald Trump. Donald Trump is watching this debate to see who could I potentially welcome into my cabinet if I win 24? Who could I potentially be in business with? Who could I potentially exploit for the network they have, a la a J.D. Vance, in order for me to benefit even more? And Ramaswamy raised his V and said, me, pick me. I will do it. He said some of the most insane stuff, like showing a fondliness and coddling the January 6th rioters, implying that they did nothing wrong. If he were to be president, he would pardon all of them. Insane takes. And personally, what I saw was a lot of enthusiasm for Vivek that is now being driven down, let's be very clear, a right-ish wing pipeline. Jane can disagree, but a right-ish wing pipeline that is being funneled to RFK. I feel like in that Venn diagram, they overlap with a lot of the same electorate that will be casting a ballot, likely for Donald Trump in 2024. And now that potentially this is not going to work out, even though, again, I remain skeptical. I'm going to believe it when I see it. The Cubs not winning for 108 years is still ingrained in me. Now that it isn't working out, I believe that this is the next thing that he is going to add, because the subscriber count is fairly massive and the view counts are fairly high. And he could sell sponsorships for his podcast to then make more money. And when you are in this pipeline with right-wing ideologists, specifically the Trump team, you can get anybody. The money aside, you can get anybody at any time. And it is a lucrative venture when you are in those circles, amongst those cohorts, with the backing that they have in that MAGA movement. So when I look at Ramaswamy, I look at somebody who is playing the long game. I look at somebody who can then speak to his record, because he will run for president again. He will speak to his record of how he is a tried and true conservative, though he has libertarian leanings. And he will go running with how he backed Donald Trump, with how he has the Trump support, with how he supported him at the RNC, with how he supported him prior to elections and even after. And he will use all of this, whether it is popularity through YouTube, whether it's popularity through podcasting, whether it is going on campaign stops if need be. I mean, we saw the press conference with him, Tim Scott, and others when they said that they were ending their candidacy to support Donald Trump. And he will wave all of that in our faces, mainly to conservatives in whatever the next MAGA movement is, to say, choose me as your fighter.
If you can and are willing, please become a paid member here at TYT Sports. And or go to tyt.com/join. In addition, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Appreciate it. Have a great day.